How on earth does a team with 72% possession, 29 attempts on goal, and only 9 shots on target still manage to drop points? Is it the tactics or is it the players? Maybe it's both, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got Philippe Clement tearing into his own players, Chris Boyd calling out the state of things on live TV, and whispers of a potential Panto-style sacking at Ibrox. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. Jack Butland's fuming fans are turning, and of course, Chris Sutton couldn't resist sticking the boot in after Celtic's win. You don't want to miss this one. It's drama, controversy, and a whole lot of fire. Let's get into it. Philippe Clement's no-nonsense approach has rattled a few cages at Rangers, hasn't it? Slating players like Cyril Desert and Mohamed Diamanda for being not good enough in the first half against Dundee United is as subtle as a frying pan to the face. Booking them at halftime was bold, but let's be honest, it needed doing. Their replacements, Danilo and Yanis Hadji, clearly put in a better shift, but why wasn't that level of energy and commitment there from the start? The Belgians under immense pressure, and you can feel it. Sitting 11 points adrift of the lot across the city is bad enough, but now we're 8 points behind Aberdeen. Aberdeen! This isn't the Rangers standard we know and love. The third place, or even fourth, is being whispered about, and that's just depressing. If Clement thinks he can get this squad firing, he's got to do it now, because patience is thinner than a Celtic fan's skin when they hear the word treble. It's also a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? The board tied him up with a shiny new contract at the start of the season, and now binning him would cost a fortune. That's not even mentioning the squad itself, a patchwork of underperformers who don't seem to grasp what's expected of them at Rangers. A good half of football here and there isn't enough. 90 minutes of fire, grit, and determination every 3 days, that's the bare minimum. But here's the real question for you. Should Clement get more time to sort out this mess, or has the board completely gambled away the season by keeping him? Well, it's never a quiet Saturday at Rangers these days, is it? Chris Boyd's bang on. When the fans start turning at Rangers, it's like watching storm clouds roll in over Govan. You could feel the frustration bubbling over during that Dundee United match, 1-0 down at halftime. That's a bad enough start, but seeing chances like those missed by Václav Cerny and Danilo doesn't exactly inspire confidence, does it? At least Cerny managed to redeem himself with that equalizer. But let's not kid ourselves. A point at home to Dundee United isn't anything to celebrate. The boos echoing around Rangers are getting louder with every lackluster performance, and you can't blame the fans. The board, the manager, and the players are all in the firing line, and rightly so. There's no sense of direction at the moment, just firefighting to scrape results. And Boyd's right again. Boos today, banners tomorrow, and then the protests start. Once that train gets going at Rangers, it's hard to stop. The worrying thing is, the opposition is loving this. They're walking into Rangers knowing the crowd's on edge and using it against us. Teams like Dundee United have no business taking points off us at home, yet here we are. So let me ask you this, and don't hold back. Is it time for the fans to properly revolt and force changes at every level, or are we just repeating the same cycle of anger without any real solutions? A Panto-style sacking at Rangers? You've got to laugh, or else you'd cry, wouldn't you? Michael Gannon might have a point with his tongue-in-cheek jibe about Niels Koppen, Clement's fellow Belgian, being the one to do the dirty deed. Can you imagine it? The Ibrox faithful screaming, "He's behind you," as Koppen sneaks up with a P45 in hand. It's almost too ridiculous, except it's Rangers, so anything feels possible these days. Let's not sugarcoat it, though. The situation's dire. A 1-1 draw against Dundee United at home and 11 points behind the Celtic mob in the league. That's nowhere near good enough. The fans are rightly furious. We're dominating games without taking the points, and the goals are as scarce as a pint in Govan after full time. Clement looks like a man out of ideas, and the whispers about Derek McInnes taking over aren't going away, which is saying something. But here's the kicker. Koppin's now in the hot seat as technical director, and his Belgian connection with Clement could mean there's some misplaced loyalty keeping the manager in the job. At what point do you stop protecting your mate and start protecting the club? So here's one for you. Is Koppin risking the club's season by holding on to Clement too long, or would chopping and changing managers yet again only deepen the chaos? The drama at Rangers just keeps getting juicier, doesn't it? Jack Butland's post-match interview wasn't just a chat, it was a full-blown vent, and you could see the steam coming out of his ears. The lad's clearly furious, not just about the draw with Dundee United, but with the deeper issues at play. His words didn't feel like a standard "we need to do better" script. This was personal, raw, and almost certainly aimed at someone. Let's not beat around the bush. Clement's name is all over this. The digs are getting harder to ignore. First, Clement points the finger at Butland after Kilmarnock, saying he was in no man's land. Now Butland's firing back, basically saying the tactics are rubbish and it's making life hell for him and the rest of the squad. His comment about teams coming to Rangers and being awkward speaks volumes. He's calling out a lack of preparation and adaptability. And he's right. Teams know exactly how to frustrate us, and instead of outsmarting them, we're sleepwalking into the same traps. Butland taking the armband in Tavernier's absence adds another layer, doesn't it? You could tell he felt the weight of leading the side, and he wasn't holding back on behalf of the fans, the staff, or anyone else who's putting up with this circus. His frustration is our frustration. And you know what? If there is a feud brewing between him and Clement, it could either blow the dressing room apart or light the fire this team desperately needs. So here's the grenade to chuck into the mix. If Butland's calling out Clement's tactics in public, is he showing leadership, or is it a sign the dressing room is completely lost under the Belgian? Chris Sutton and his love for a cheap dig at Rangers, it's as predictable as rain in Glasgow, isn't it? This time, he's piping up about Aberdeen being the real challengers to the Celtic lot. Aberdeen, who just lost to St. Mirren, by the way. Classic Sutton, stirring the pot with that smugness that makes you want to chuck your telly out the window. Now, let's not sugarcoat it. Rangers are nowhere near where they should be. 11 points behind Celtic in the league, misfiring forward line that couldn't hit a barn door, and Clement still looking for his first win in an old firm clash. It's grim reading, but Sutton's little jibe about Aberdeen being better challengers, nonsense. Aberdeen might be ahead in the table now, but let's not forget they've not been anywhere near as consistent in recent seasons. Sutton's just doing his usual, trying to wind us up and loving every second of it. But the worst bit is it's hard to argue about the gap in quality between us and Celtic. They're putting 4 past Hearts, while we're scrambling for a point against Dundee United. If Clement doesn't sort out the goal drought and fast, that League Cup final against them will feel like a foregone conclusion, and we can't be having that. So here's one to chew on. Is Sutton actually right? Are we so far off the pace this season that even Aberdeen look a more credible threat to Celtic than Rangers do? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon,